calm, reflective? Welcome back to Cozy English Corner. It is a cold, gray Tuesday morning here in Columbus, Ohio. The kind of morning where the wind off the Olentangy River reminds you that winter is not quite finished with us yet. Thoughtful. I am Alex, and today we are talking about a concept that is technically an English grammar lesson, but in reality, it is about how we process our life choices, our regrets, and our dreams. Welcoming and empathetic. Joining me today is Maya. She has lived in Columbus her entire life, and she works as a night shift nurse at the university hospital. Maya, thank you for being here after what I imagine was a very long night.
Tired but sincere, thank you for having me, Alex. It really was a long night. Shift work takes a heavy toll on your body, and coming into a warm studio is exactly what I needed this morning.
Direct educational. We appreciate your time. Today we are looking at two phrases, would do and would be doing. For anyone learning English, these two forms create a lot of confusion. Curious, probing. But before we look at the structure, I want to talk about why we use these words. Maya, when you are driving home at 6 in the morning, watching the city wake up, do you ever imagine a different life?
Reflective, slightly melancholy all the time. It is almost a habit at this point. I look at the people drinking coffee in their cars, driving to normal office jobs, and my mind instantly goes to alternative realities.
Factual, slightly amused. Psychologists call that counterfactual thinking. Research shows that humans are the only creatures that actively torture themselves by imagining parallel lives that do not exist.
Honest, vulnerable. That makes complete sense. We do it to process our stress. I often think, if I had chosen a different career, I would not have this heavy student loan debt hanging over me.
Encouraging, analytical. I want to pause right there because what you just said is the perfect example of our first structure. If I had chosen a different career, I would not have this debt. That is, would do, or in this case, the negative form. Clear, instructive. Let us break down would do. We use the word would, followed by the base verb. We use this to talk about a clear, single result of an imagined situation.
Understanding, right. It is a fact about what the alternative reality looks like. For example, if I had more money, I would travel. It is a general result.
Deep, philosophical. Exactly. The action is complete. It answers the question. What is the consequence? But we rarely discuss the emotional weight of these sentences. When you say, I would travel, you are actually talking about a lack of freedom in your current life.
Frustrated but calm? That is so true. The grammar is just the vehicle for the pain. Another example. If housing in Columbus were cheaper, I would buy a house. But instead, I am renting an apartment that costs too much.
Empathetic, it is a struggle that so many people face right now. The cost of living is changing the way we plan our futures. So, would buy is the simple conditional, a direct result, instructive. But there is a second form, and this is where advanced English learners often stumble. The form is would be doing, subject plus would plus be plus a verb ending in ing.
Imaginative longing. This one feels different. It feels more immediate. If I look out the window right now at the cold rain, I can say, if I lived in Florida, I would be walking on the beach right now.
Excited, clarifying. Notice the difference. You are not just stating a general fact. You are imagining an action in progress at this exact moment. You are mentally projecting yourself into that alternative timeline. Intriguing? Here's an interesting fact. Cognitive scientists say that visualizing an ongoing action using would be doing activates the same parts of the brain as actually performing the action. The brain experiences it as real.
Fascinated, sharing personal pain. That is incredible. It explains why imagining these things can make you feel so emotional. When I finish a terrible night shift, I do not just think I would sleep. I think if I had a normal job, I would be sleeping in my bed right now.
Deeply engaged. Exactly. Would be sleeping paints a picture. It emphasizes the duration and the reality of the moment. You feel the softness of the bed in that sentence. Wood's sleep is just data. Would be sleeping is an experience.
Vulnerable questioning. It is also about aging and time passing, isn't it? I am 34 now. Sometimes I look at my friends who started businesses in their 20s. I think if I had taken that risk, what would I be doing today?
Empathetic, serious, that is the perfect question to ask. What would I be doing today? You are asking about the ongoing state of your life. It reveals a common insecurity we all share about getting older and wondering if we chose the right path.
Slightly laughing, but serious, yes. And if I am honest, the fear of making the wrong choice keeps me awake more often than the loud traffic on High Street.
Instructive, transitioning, I understand that completely. This leads us to a great test for our listeners. If you can add the phrase right now or at this exact moment to your sentence and it sounds natural, you should use would be doing.
Thinking out loud, so if I say, if I won the lottery, I would buy a car right now, that feels a little strange. Buying a car is a single event.
Affirming, right. You would just say, I would buy a car. But if you say, if I won the lottery, I would be driving that new car right now. That works perfectly. The driving is an ongoing process. Guiding. Now, let us talk about how fluent speakers mix these two forms in the same sentence. Because life is not just one or the other. We experience both results and ongoing situations at the same time.
Confident? I can give you an example from my life. If I had moved to a smaller town, instead of staying in Columbus, I would have less debt. And I would be working fewer hours.
Analytical, impressed. That is a beautiful sentence. Let us examine it. I would have less debt. That is a result, a general fact. But then you transition to I would be working fewer hours, which describes your ongoing daily reality.
Insightful. It sounds very natural to me. Mixing them shows the full picture, the financial result and the human experience of living that result day after day.
Exactly. When English listeners master this combination, they stop sounding like a textbook and start sounding like real people navigating a complicated life. Cautionary, helpful. However, there are a few mistakes that almost every learner makes when trying to use these structures. The first is what I call the missing bee.
Recognizing, I think I know this one. I hear it often when I speak with patients who are learning English. They say something like, I would working.
Direct, clear, yes. I would working is grammatically broken. You must include the verb be. I would be working. The be creates the bridge to the ongoing action. Without it, the sentence collapses.
Inquiring, it is easy to forget when you are speaking quickly. What is the second common mistake?
Instructive. The second mistake is ignoring the context and using would be doing for single events. For example, if I saw him, I would be saying hello.
Critiquing,
That sounds very strange. Saying hello is a quick, single action.
it is not an ongoing process. You should just say, I would say hello.
Clarifying, correct. You reserve would be doing for actions that take time. Living, working, sleeping, waiting, studying. These are verbs that stretch out over minutes, hours, or years. Playful, testing, let us practice together, Maya. I will give you a scenario, and you tell me how you would express it naturally. Imagine you regret not learning to play the piano when you were a child.
Thinking, confident. Okay. If I had learned the piano, I would understand music theory better, and I would be playing songs for my family right now.
Phrasing, flawless. Would understand is the general result. Would be playing is the vivid, imagined action happening right at this moment. You constructed that perfectly.
Grateful, insightful. Thank you. It helps to anchor the grammar to a real emotion. When I think about the regret of missing out on something, the sentence builds itself.
Philosophical. That is the secret to true fluency. Grammar is not mathematics. It is emotional expression. If you do not feel what you are saying, the rules will always be difficult to remember. Setting a scene, let us try more scenario for our listeners. Imagine you decided not to move to a new city for a job, and now you are stuck in traffic in your hometown. What are you thinking?
Frustrated? Realistic? I would probably grip the steering wheel and say,
If I had taken that job, I would not be sitting in this miserable traffic right now.
Approving, exactly. Would not be sitting. Notice how natural the negative form sounds here. You are denying the present ongoing reality and replacing it with an alternative.
Chuckling, thoughtful. It is funny how much time we spend living in our imaginations. But I suppose it is better than just being angry at the traffic.
Factual, insightful, actually, doctor. Neil Rose, a prominent psychologist, wrote that counterfactual thinking is essential for our survival. By imagining how things could be different, we create a roadmap for future decisions.
Surprised, hopeful. So, my daydreams about escaping night shift nursing might actually just be my brain planning my next career move?
Precisely, the grammar of regret is also the grammar of hope. When you say, I would be doing something else, you are mapping out a future that is still possible. Direct address, engaging. I want to ask our listeners to participate right now. Take a moment to think about your own life. Where are you sitting right now while you listen to this?
Encouraging?
curious.
Yes, think about a choice you made a few years ago. If you had made a different choice, what would you be doing right now? Not what would you do eventually, but what would you be doing at this very second?
Enthusic. Write your sentence in the comments. Use I would be, followed by an action verb ending in ing. We read all of your responses, and it is fascinating to see the alternative lives you are all imagining.
Warm, reassuring, and please do not worry if your grammar is not perfect. As a nurse, I can tell you that trying to communicate is always better than staying silent because you are afraid to make a mistake.
Organized. That is excellent advice. Mistakes are the evidence that you are trying. Let us quickly summarize the rules we discussed today to help our listeners remember. Clear, deliberate. Rule number 1, use would do to talk about a clear result or a consequence. It is a general fact about a hypothetical situation.
Clear. Rule number 2, use would be doing when you want to describe an action that is ongoing or happening at a specific moment in your alternative reality.
Emphasizing. Rule number 3, do not forget the verb be. I would be working, not I would working.
Warm, encouraging, and rule number 4, mix them together to sound natural. Describe your results and your ongoing experiences in the same breath. It makes your English sound human.
Caring, observational, beautifully summarized. Maya, I know you need to go home and finally get some sleep. The sun is just starting to come up over the city.
Smiling, genuine. Yes, my bed is waiting. If I did not have this interview with you, I would be sleeping right now. But honestly, I am very glad I came. It was a great conversation.
Grateful, warm. I love how you naturally use the grammar structure there. We are very grateful for your perspective today. Your insights on burnout, choices, and alternative realities made this lessons in truly meaningful.
Inspiring. Thank you, Alex. To everyone listening, keep practicing. Your English journey is an ongoing process, not a single event. Be patient with yourselves.
Sincere closing tone. To wrap up our conversation, if you found value in this episode, please subscribe to Cozy English Corner. Share this with someone who is learning English, or maybe just someone who needs to hear that it is normal to imagine a different life. Encouraging, final. We will be back next week with more real conversations and practical language. Until then, stay warm, keep practicing, and remember that the life you are living right now is entirely yours to shape. Goodbye, everyone.